So we're here at Glasbren. Glasbren means sapling in Welsh, and we're a community-based social enterprise based here at my family farm, Bronhael Farm, in West Wales near Carmarthen. And Steph and I together run a 1 acre no-dig agroecological market garden, and we feed 50 households-ish between the rivers Tav in the west and Towy in the east every week with a box of freshly harvested and cut vegetables and fruits and herbs. This was kind of the logical continuation of the home garden that was already here, kind of above the polytunnel here. That was the original farm vegetable garden. So I just kind of continued from there, but this land looked very much like this pasture we have over here, kind of heavily grazed, and because of the nature of the land, it was sloping in both directions, and it's got heavy clay soil, and a lot of the good soil from the top had kind of made its way down to the bottom of the hills. So yeah, it sort of presented a lot of interesting design challenges and how to make best use of what is essentially marginal land, you know, and how to turn that into a kind of multi-tiered, productive, flourishing market garden, basically. A couple of years ago, when we had that big dry spell in the summer, we were really caught out by a lack of water, basically. We're on a well here, so the well got really low, and we suddenly found ourselves in quite an emergency situation trying to keep the crops alive. So over the last couple of years, we've been thinking a lot about how we can harness, you know, the heaps of rainwater that we get here in Wales when we do have it, and store it up in the garden. So one of those ways is that we've got a system of IBCs. These are just second-hand IBCs that you can pick up. They're 1,000 litres each, and we catch rainwater off the packing shed up the top of the hill, and using the natural hillside, the natural fall of the land, we use gravity to just transport that water from IBC to IBC at different stages through the garden, so that we have water accessible and available at different points where we need it. We still mostly water by hand, which is kind of a choice that we've made. For us, it's a way of kind of keeping a watch over the whole garden. It's a way of it's almost like a ceremonial thing. It's a way of us kind of feeding the plants and giving back what we take out. And so to do that, we also have these blue barrels, also second-hand from agricultural waste, that we run the water into those, so that it's really easy to just dunk a watering can in and fill it with water, and then away you go. And so yeah, it's just more and more. We've got about, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 litres stored in the garden right now, and the polytunnels also run exclusively on rainwater. And we want to have more and more, really, so that we really feel like if another drought came, if we had 6 weeks or 2 months without rainwater, we could survive. My background really was from permaculture. You know, I'm trained through the permaculture way of doing things, which has had to be adapted definitely for this context, for a more productive market garden context, and bringing in some other schools of thought as well. But ultimately, at the heart, at the core of this is the ideas around permaculture. So yeah, observation, interaction, working with what you have, and working with nature, letting the way the forest grows be the guide, really.
So one of our passions here at Glasbren is keeping a variety of plants in amongst the vegetables, and a lot of flowers, because not only do we use them for our bunches, for our boxes, but they're good for the insects, good for biodiversity, and then also it makes it look beautiful. So dotted around the farm, we've got a lot of perennials, like this sea buckthorn. Now the good thing about this plant is that it's a nitrogen fixer, and it also produces these delicious, nutritious berries. The reason we've got a lot of perennials around the vegetables is so that the root systems keep this great mycelium network for nutrients and water, and it replicates what's there in the wild. So we're growing our veg, copying what's out there in the wild.
The thing that led me into doing this was kind of thinking about bigger issues in relation to the environment, climate change, biodiversity loss, and looking at why, you know, what are the core reasons behind that. And I think for me it was all about a profound disconnection from the natural world. And so for myself and in the work that we do, I wanted to do something that would bring myself back into a deep relationship with the natural world. And I think food growing and the kind of traditional life ways that are involved in it, and the way people have lived on land for forever, seemed like a really simple way we could all start to reconnect with our local land and with our seed and with our foods, and start to feel that kind of love and appreciation for the natural world that supports us and feeds us, and a way that everybody can kind of get into that together, you know. And yeah, so I started to see kind of how food growing in my own life could be my way of deepening my relationship with the natural world, but also how we could bring people onto the land and start to offer that to other people and offer it through the boxes as well, you know, the opportunity to eat with the seasons and have a connection with your local farmers and have a connection with your local soil, and do something that was regenerative in the local area, basically.
So we enjoy being more intuitive with our gardening here, which means we really get to understand what our soil health is and what plants work well with each other. And so sometimes we get a bit more experimental with things. So here we've got some beetroot growing with some sweet corn, and it turned out really well. Also, what we like to do is we like to keep some of our plants going to seed. So this coriander here, not only is a good pollinator, but also is going to produce some amazing seeds for us, which we can save for next year.
Yeah, so I think the main thing I've probably learned is the power of growing food together. It's like how much of a different experience farming and growing food can be if you do it with other people, if you come to rely on each other, if you come to support each other, and just how much of a different lifestyle it can be and how much healthier it can be and how much more fun and vibrant it can be. And just having time, you know, time to live and time to enjoy and time to feel in connection to this place instead of just kind of in a productivity mindset, you know, just trying to produce as much veg, you know, looking at the bottom line, but actually enjoying the experience of doing it and actually feeling like I'm in relationship with this place and I'm learning from it and it's teaching me. And I suppose the important point is that I came up from being a home grower and I just scaled up what I was doing as a home grower essentially with some tweaks and tricks and things I learned from other market gardeners. But yeah. Here at the garden we don't dig, we don't till, we don't turn the soil in any way. We operate on a no-dig system, so we have all these series of permanent raised beds basically, where we grow the food with wood chip paths in between. And the reason for that is no dig is much better for the soil, much better for the soil structure, keeping that structure in place, keeping all the life and microorganisms in place. And just adding a fresh layer of organic matter after every crop, much like the forest, the way that the forest makes soil. And yeah, it's really helping us in the way that it's much easier, it's a lot less work, it's much better for weed pressure, we have a lot less weeds, and much better for water retention. And also in terms of harvesting veg for the veg boxes, we're finding the veg comes off a lot cleaner as well, you know, we're not having to wash the crops.
So the great thing about compost heaps is that you can use whatever you've got around on the farm or on your own land. What we like to do is we like to use some manure, some old crops that have gone to seed, some comfrey, and then some like kitchen household waste, which we've got here. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to add some manure onto this to add the bacteria into the compost heap. And the key thing is to make it all into layers because we want to get as much heat as possible for it to break down. So I've got some manure on there now. I'm going to add some of the comfrey that we picked earlier. And we're lucky enough to have a lot of wood chip on this farm. And wood chip on its own is quite acidic for the ground. So what we like to do is we like to leave it for about 6 months, and then it breaks down, and then we add it to the compost heap. So the idea of this is we're going to layer it up, and there's going to be a variety of different things in there. There's going to be some green stuff, some brown, some wood chip, and then in about a month's time, you can have this beautiful, delicious compost that we can use. So what we have here is a compost heap that we made about a month ago, and it's gone through different stages of heat temperatures to really rot down everything inside. And I've got my trusted thermometer here, which I use on a regular basis for my compost heaps. I just put it in there, and this is going to show about 35 to 40 degrees, and it's really nice warm to the touch. But you want to get it to around 60 degrees a few times to get it really rotting down. Now this here is a mixture of those layers from before, and all the greenery has just has gone really, and it's just this delicious compost that we can use straight away now onto the ground.
So yeah, here we are in the seed house, the Tihadai. This is where all our propagation and seed saving and seed drying happens. And seeds are really important to us here because, as you know, it's really the bedrock of the whole operation. It's where our food comes from. And I'm particularly interested in kind of the stories in seed and the people that have saved seeds in the past and have passed it on, and kind of protecting that kind of genetic diversity and protecting the stories and protecting the history embedded in the seed, and making sure that we use only open pollinated seeds, so seeds pollinated by bees and other insects, organic seeds, seed sourced locally, to try and kind of do a little sort of small pushback against the power of the major seed companies and corporations trying to reduce seed to just a handful of varieties. We've started a seed circle recently locally with a bunch of us, so we're now hopefully working to a point where together we can save the whole spectrum of seeds without having to do them all ourselves, which makes it a bit easier in terms of isolation and just sharing the load, really. So I think people can put up barriers and limitations to them being able to get into fruit growing, or kind of become a bit fixed on the proper way to do things, and I think, one of the core takeaways for me from doing this in a more kind of intuitive, instinctual way, is that if you grow food, if you make the focus of your growing food being in relationship with the garden and observing and interacting and really just letting the garden teach you, then I think there doesn't need to be any limits, and there's no doing things wrong, because things are going to go well and things are going to go not so well, and I think you just have to, as part of accepting the reality of food growing, it's part of living with the seasons, with the changing nature of the Welsh climate here, and almost like surrendering really to something that we can't control ultimately. We're not in control. We can just try our best to understand and have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of background to help us have the best chance of having a good crop out of the garden, but ultimately there are other forces at work. I came across this community-supported agriculture model, which is sort of where the community really invests in the project and pledges their support through the season, and sort of surrenders themselves to the seasonal nature of food growing and the challenges and rewards of farming, and comes along with you really. And I think I sort of saw in that all the ethics of permaculture encapsulated in a model.